Hello, foodies! We are going to travel back in time today in order to investigate the aromas and tastes that were prevalent in ancient Roman food. Get ready to learn about the Romans' culinary history, including their ingredients, methods, and dining practices. Join us as we explore the Roman dining experience through the lens of its exotic flavors, opulent meals, and fascinating culinary traditions. Therefore, make yourself comfortable at the virtual feast table as we explore the cuisines of the past. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of ancient Roman food, let's take a moment to comprehend the environment in which it thrived so that we can better appreciate its complexities. The Roman Empire was enormous and varied, taking up territory on 3 different continents. As a consequence of this, Roman cuisine was inspired by a wide diversity of cultures and ingredients from the lands that the Romans conquered. The Romans were famed for their capacity to embrace and adapt different culinary practices, which led to the development of a cuisine that was both diverse and abundant. The manner in which Romans served their meals and the reasons behind choosing particular foods were directly related to the Romans' way of life and their beliefs. The well-known ingredient garum, which was a mystery liquid that we still can't entirely recreate even today, was utilized in the majority of Roman cuisine, and it was consumed by Romans of all socioeconomic backgrounds. This article examines the culture surrounding Roman food, as well as several Roman recipes that have survived. Archaeologists have been successful in unearthing some information regarding the food that was consumed in ancient Rome, despite the fact that food spoils quickly and cannot withstand the test of time. The information that we have about Roman cuisine comes from 2 different kinds of research: archaeological excavations and artistic depictions of food from ancient Rome. The latter term refers, for the most part, to murals that were preserved on the inside walls of Roman homes and other buildings. These frescoes typically featured feast scenes complete with food plates. This provides historians working in the modern era with a picture of what a typical Roman dinner looked like. According to the results of archaeological digs, the Romans were familiar with chickpeas, fish, sea urchins, dill, coriander, flax, lentil, cabbage, opium poppy, and a variety of nuts, fruits, legumes, and shellfish. Grapes, whether fermented into wine or consumed fresh, as well as bread and a wide variety of baked goods, were common staples in the Roman diet. Despite the fact that the basic components were rather comparable to what is used today in the majority of European countries, eating customs and recipes in ancient Rome were significantly different from those used today. In the culinary heritage of ancient Rome, there were 3 meals, just like there are 3 meals now. At dawn, a meal known as ientaculum served as a substitute for breakfast. This was followed by a meal known as cena in the middle of the day. Cena was the most important meal of the day and also the one that never changed. The Romans would eat a meal called vesperna, which was a lighter supper, before retiring for the night. However, throughout the history of the Roman Empire, these 3 meals were not always consumed in the same order. The traditional Roman lunch, known as cene, evolved over time as the Roman Empire expanded and became more rich. As more unusual dishes were added to the Roman cuisine repertoire, this trend grew in popularity and diversified in its presentation. Because of this, the vesperna was abolished as a result of the cena's influence. This was because the cena continued into the evening in prosperous Roman houses, which were able to afford many dishes to be served from the afternoon until the evening. The Romans' routines dictated the timing of their meals throughout the day. Meals were planned around the working day for the working class, which meant that there was an additional meal called the prandium, which was a midday meal before the cena that might help temper the workers' hunger. On the other hand, the upper echelons of Roman society took care of all of the day's business in the morning so that they could begin their cena at 2 p.m. after first attending the public baths. Cena was typically followed in the evening by commissation, which refers to the consumption of alcoholic beverages. Wine was the most popular alcoholic beverage in ancient Rome, just as it was in ancient Greece. Because the process of fermenting grapes was not quite as sophisticated and precisely calibrated as it is now, wine was typically watered down with additional water before being consumed. As a direct result of this, the amount of alcohol that was included in the wine was in a very high concentration. There are some really interesting records that explain how the Romans were able to turn red wine into white wine and vice versa. They were also able to save wine that had already begun the process of turning into vinegar. Wine in ancient Rome, like wine now, came in a wide variety of flavors and styles, in contrast to today. For instance, the wine known as passum was a powerful dessert wine composed of raisins. This recipe is said to have originated in Carthagena and then spread across the Roman Empire. Another sort of wine is the mulsum, made from wine and honey, which turns it into a liquor-like sweet drink. Additionally, honey was a vital component of conditum, which consisted of wine, honey, and various spices. A recipe for conditum paradoxum mentions wine, honey, pepper, laurel, dates, mastic, and saffron as the components for this sort of drink. Roman cuisine consisted of a diverse selection of foods, ranging from straightforward and homely to ornate and ornately served. Meals were considered to be major social events, and they often reflected the wealth and social standing of the host. So, whether you were dining with the commoners or feasting with the emperors, food was a major component of Roman life. Now let's investigate the ingredients that formed the foundation of ancient Roman cuisine. As a result of their enormous trading networks and advances in agriculture, the Romans had access to a wide variety of ingredients while preparing their food. Some of the items that were used regularly were things like grains, lentils, olive oil, fish, chicken, and game meat, in addition to a wide variety of vegetables. Garum was a fermented fish sauce that the Romans used as a condiment in many different foods. It is interesting to note that the Romans were big eaters of garum. This sauce was a fundamental component in Roman cuisine because of its distinctive umami flavor and its widespread use. It is important to note that the Romans enjoyed the use of exotic ingredients such as spices, honey, and even the tongues of peacocks in their cuisine. Let's go into the culinary techniques that ancient Romans used now that we have a solid understanding of the components that go into the dish. Cooking techniques such as roasting, boiling, and frying were all well understood by Roman chefs. They utilized a wide variety of herbs and spices in their cooking, which served to further enhance the flavors of the food. The Romans were masters of the art of preservation, which was one of the many disciplines in which they excelled. They came up with a variety of techniques for preserving food, including smoking, pickling, and salting the food. Because of these methods of preservation, they were able to consume foods made with seasonal components throughout the entire year. These methods also made it possible to provide soldiers during military campaigns. Now that we've covered the components and processes, let's move our focus to the dining experience itself. Roman eating was a social occasion that frequently included numerous courses and elaborate displays of the food that was being served. The wealthiest Romans hosted magnificent dinners known as convivia, where they would invite visitors to indulge in an elaborate feast. These dinners were notable for the copious amounts of food, excellent wine, and lively entertainment that they offered. Guests would lounge around on sofas and enjoy performances by musicians and dancers while being attended to by an army of slaves. Guests would also be served by slaves. However, it's essential to keep in mind that not every Roman was able to attend lavish banquets like these ones. The ordinary people preferred simpler meals, with bread, vegetables, and pulses providing the bulk of their diet. These meals were generally communal, stressing the social relationships among the society. No discussion of ancient Roman cuisine would be complete without addressing some of the signature dishes that graced their tables. Let's take a look at a few famous cases. Apicius's patina, a savory cake cooked with ground meat, eggs, and a variety of herbs and spices, was a delicacy that was quite popular. This dish displayed the Roman fondness for blending sweet and savory ingredients. Another meal that became famous was called gustum de praecoquis, and it consisted of apricots that had been doused in honey and wine. In addition, we have to bring up mortem, which is a spread that is composed of garlic, cheese, various herbs, and olive oil. The Romans adored this dish, which was straightforward yet packed with flavor, all over their vast empire. These meals provide us a look into the myriad flavors that the ancient Romans enjoyed, as well as their creative approach to the kitchen. As we come to the end of our exploration of the food of the ancient Romans, we are able to understand the enormous influence that this gastronomic empire had on the culinary traditions that came after it. Roman food was a vivid tapestry of flavors and customs, ranging from the extravagant banquets and exotic flavors that were served to the upper class to the simple meals that were eaten by the common people. We get a deeper understanding of ancient Roman society and culture, as well as the significance they placed on the pleasures of the table as we investigate the past mysteries through the lens of ancient Roman cuisine. This allows us to unveil the past secrets. We hope you found this feast of information to be enjoyable, and we invite you to keep delving further into the mouth-watering realm of historical cuisines. Remember to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell to receive notifications so you don't miss out on any next time travel adventures. Thanks for joining us.